just with this information. We will, of course, record it, this meeting, and everything technical will go through my colleague Andrea Mathieusz and myself, as I don't have so much to do during this meeting, this presentation. So with a warm welcome to all, especially presenters. I would like first to thank ICOM Secretariat for doing this great job. I know that it was not easy to connect the experts in our region with, in this time, that all are dealing with many adjustments in one way. Even though now in 2022, I think this is quite a normal thing. And it's quite good that we can meet this way and celebrate International Museum Day. Also, well, I know that it's not 18th of May, but it's close enough. So I think that we still can celebrate it, and we still can show one way, in this way, the power of museums through this action, through this project that is led by Heritage Protection Department of ICOM. So my first warm welcome goes to Edward Oakes and Sophie Delapierre, that are actually two people that are the most important in this, in succeeding to finish this project. That was actually finished on the 14th of October last year, 2021. And during that time, we did some other actions already. So that's why maybe this is a good time to present what we did, what actually was going on with this 2 years of project, even more free, and actually how the results are now distributed not only in our region, but also in some other parts. So I'm really thankful on behalf of ICOM Southeast Europe Regional Alliance. Here is also Vice Chair, our Slavko Spasic, so welcome to you also. And special thanks to Maja Hakar-Saje, my colleague from Slovenia. She was part of this team, and she actually was so nice and good to take care of everything, to organize this meeting, and also to connect all that wanted to participate. I have to emphasize that actually we invited all experts that were involved in this project, but for different reasons, they could not be all here. We hope that they will all be here. They will all be in Prague. Perhaps we would like to have that opportunity to meet all in Prague, hopefully. So this is my introduction. This is my welcoming speech. And I will give this virtual floor to colleague Ted. Edward, I have name Edward, so I think, is this a
Edward? Edward is the full name, but Ted, I go by Ted.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I was, just nervous. What was wrong? What went wrong? So it's great that we can call you Ted, okay, now? Yes. Okay. So, dear Ted Oakes, please, from the Heritage Protection Department, the floor is yours. We are waiting for your words and presentation.
Thank you very much, Lenka. I'll just share my screen now. Let's see if this is working. Great. Can you all see the screen there? Excellent.
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much, Alenka, and thank you to all our colleagues for organizing this event. And thank you very much for the really warm welcome. But before I go any further, I must say, while the Secretariat played a big role in bringing this red list to completion, we couldn't have gotten anywhere without the experts. And I'm really delighted to see so many of them here today. Mihaela, Maya, Natalia, Mattia, I think I saw Mariana log on there as well. Really, this was a combined work, and we couldn't have gotten as far as we did without all your support. So thank you very much, and it's good to see you. My presentation today will focus more on the history of the red lists, mainly because I know that our colleagues from the countries are going to talk about their experiences, and I think for that reason it might be interesting to hear more about their national experiences. And I suppose my presentation today can talk a bit about the history of the red list and how we got to the red list projects in general, and also to the red list for Southeast Europe. And I'm an historian by training. I started my museum career back in the National Museum of Dublin, so it's always nice to go back to the roots as the museum historian. But many of you will know that ICOM was founded immediately after the Second World War in 1946. And very quickly after that, ICOM positioned itself very strongly against the illicit trafficking of cultural heritage. In 1947, the ICOM General Assembly said that ICOM declares itself strongly opposed to the illegal excavation and exportation of cultural objects. So our history as an organization in trying to combat illicit trafficking really goes back very far. As well as that, in the 1960s, experts in ICOM were becoming increasingly aware of the illicit trafficking of cultural heritage, and they were concerned with museums who were also acquiring, whether knowingly or unknowingly, acquiring cultural heritage from countries illegally. So in 1970, ICOM experts met in Paris to establish ethical rules for the acquisition of cultural heritage. And these rules advised that museum professionals should not take objects, cultural goods, into their collections unless they had verified the provenance of these objects and unless they had done due diligence to ensure that the objects collected were not illegally removed from their country of origin. And this continues to this day. The recommendations are still part of ICOM's work, excuse me. And they also gave way to the Code of Ethics, which was adopted in 1986. We're all museum professionals here, so we are very well aware of the Code of Ethics, and it's an all-embracing tool for our work as museum professionals. But the ethics of acquisition, the influence can be very clearly seen in the second chapter on provenance and due diligence. And here I'd like to point out that even though the Code of Ethics is a non-binding tool, in some countries in Europe, there are no clear guidance for provenance and for due diligence. So the Code of Ethics has been recommended as a tool that can help advise for the protection of cultural goods against illicit trafficking. And the EU recently recommended that ICOM's definition of provenance be used in this respect. So the influence of ICOM experts in trying to combat illicit trafficking really runs very deep. And at the same time that all of this was going on as well, ICOM was also trying to raise awareness to thefts that were happening, thefts of cultural goods. ICOM would share images of cultural objects that had been stolen. This would be put in the ICOM newsletter, which was sent to the members. And these images, along with catalogue information, would be shared with Interpol to try and raise awareness to thefts. And this eventually gave way then to the 100 Missing Objects series, which really was the forerunner to the red lists. And the 100 Missing Objects series began with looting in Angkor, then there was looting in Africa, and there was also a version for Europe. Now, the European version focused mainly on Central and Southern Europe, and it evolved from the advertisements that I immediately discussed. And quite literally, it was a list of objects that were stolen. So unlike our red lists, which are lists of objects that are under risk, the looting in 100 Missing Objects looting in Europe was a list of objects that were actually stolen. One of the difficulties, there were a lot of successes with the 100 Missing Objects series. Objects were recovered, but one of the difficulties was that they were very academic. They were publications, so they were very hard to try and publish very quickly. And as well as that, because they only listed inventoried museum objects, they couldn't protect objects that were uninventoried, so objects from archaeological sites, for instance. And this became very clear in 1997 during a meeting of experts at the Royal Tropical Institute in the Netherlands to discuss an update of the 100 Missing Objects series for Africa. ICOM experts decided that a new tool was needed to try and protect cultural objects inside museums, but also outside museums as well. And this is really where the red lists all began. This was in 2000, 3 years after the meeting in the Netherlands. ICOM published the first red list. And the idea has remained very much the same since, that these are not lists of objects that are stolen. They are lists of objects that are at risk of theft and illegal export. And the idea is that these are flexible tools, that they can be produced quickly, and that they are created by museum professionals, by ICOM experts, to help people outside the museum community, to help police officers, to help customs officers, to help private individuals identify categories of objects that are most at risk from theft and illegal export. And since 2000, ICOM has published 18 red lists. As you know, our red list for Southeast Europe is the most recent. The red lists cover over 5 continents, and they include over 60 countries across the globe. And they've also been translated into over 15 languages. You can also see here this list of diverse countries that we have here, list of diverse languages. And the countries really can change. We have countries in peace, such as China. And then, of course, we have countries that are struggling, countries that are in conflict, like Iraq or like Syria. And I always like to emphasize here that there is a misconception that illicit trafficking only affects countries that are in crisis or countries that are poor. That is not the case at all. Every single country is impacted by illicit trafficking. And this brings me back to Europe and to our red list for Southeast Europe. In the mid-2000s, a lot of organizations on the European continent began to recognize that illicit trafficking is a huge problem. In 2017, the European Union announced that it would introduce import regulations into the European Union for cultural goods. So from 2025, you will need an import license to bring in certain cultural goods into the European Union. And the main reason for this is to combat the financing of terrorism. The Council of Europe as well, which includes most countries across the continent, in 2017, they also opened for ratification the Nicosia Convention on Offences Relating to Cultural Property. And at the same time, UNESCO also introduced a toolkit to help law enforcement officials and judiciaries in Europe, on the European continent, protect cultural goods from illicit trafficking. And at the same time as well, we at ICOM, we were also observing the trends, and we were aware that something had to be done too. Expert meetings, meetings with experts from the 10 countries, from Albania, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Croatia, North Macedonia, Montenegro, Romania, Moldova, Serbia, and Slovenia, all began meeting between 2012 and 2015 to discuss the production of a red list for Southeast Europe. Unfortunately, at the same time, things were getting worse in other parts of the world too, and we needed an emergency red list for Syria, and there also had to be an emergency red list for Yemen and an update for the emergency red list in Ukraine. So work eventually commenced, as you know, in 2019. And of course, as we know, then we had to move on to an online format because of the pandemic. And I think we can all safely say we became Zoom experts then. This was perhaps one of the most difficult, I think, phases that we had to work through at the time. Ideally, it would have been fantastic to have all of you in Paris to discuss together and to share the objects, and you can see the Excel sheet that we used to discuss the objects. But of course, because of the pandemic, we had to move on to an online format, and I really have to give credit to the experts here, because this wasn't easy for us, and it certainly wasn't easy for the experts as well. But despite this, we still managed to produce an excellent red list over a series of meetings over about 6 months in early 2021. And to give you some figures and to be proud of the red list that we've created together. The red list that we created is the largest red list to date. It has over 119 objects. We selected these 119 objects together over a series of online meetings from over 450 objects submitted by the experts. And I think we all remember that work. It was over 3 days in March last year. We had 25 experts from the 10 countries involved, and from the 10 countries, we had 44 museums involved. So it really was an enormous work that we can all be proud of. We have so far printed 9,000 copies of the red lists in 5 languages, and those are English, French, Swedish, and recently Slovenian and Croatian, and we're continuing with the translations. And for other countries who are eager to get the translations, we are looking forward to working with you to get this, to continue with these. And we've also shared the red list with our partners. Sophie and I were invited on 2 occasions to discuss the red list with the member states of the European Union at the European Commission. We have shared the red list with Europol, with UNESCO, Interpol, UNIDROIT, and the World Customs Organization. And of course, there are the promotional events in each of your countries, but I would rather let the experts speak about that. Again, this demonstrates the ongoing work in promoting the red list. Here are some other activities as well that were ongoing too. UNIDROIT has also been sharing the red list, and Blue Shield, to one of our colleagues last year, managed to present the red list at one of the first in-person events that we were able to attend as well. At the meeting of Blue Shield Denmark, the red list for Southeast Europe was presented in Copenhagen. And of course, what's next for the red list? Well, the translations, as I said, are ongoing, and we hope to secure a translation into every language in the region. And as I said, I've been in touch with most of you already about this, and we can continue this work. And we look forward to making sure that this is not just the largest red list we've produced, but also the most translated red list. If we translate this into all the languages, it will be the most translated red list ICOM has ever had. And also, what's next as well for the red list? Well, Prague too. We have Prague to look forward to, and if there's time towards the end of the meeting today, it would be great to have a quick chat about that. But our colleagues in Prague have been very excited about the red list, and they specifically asked that the experts could present their experience of sharing the red list in the region, and they specifically dedicated a time, an hour and a half, for it on the 21st of August for the general conference. So I think this would be a fantastic experience to demonstrate the work of the red list, to demonstrate the experience of the experts. I know our colleague Hélène has been in touch with a lot of you about organizing this meeting, and I really do hope that we can see you all there. It would be fantastic to be able to meet finally in person after so many years of work. But the work on the red lists in general is also continuing too. As of this year, we have started work for a red list for Brazil, and this work will largely be similar to our red list for Southeast Europe. This is a red list for an ongoing threat, like the threats we have in Southeast Europe. So we are taking our time to research, to find the best objects. And just like we did with Southeast Europe, we are working very closely with our committee in Brazil to create this red list. And of course, because of the situation in Ukraine, we are beginning an emergency red list for Ukraine. Work for this has already started with ICOM Ukraine. We are in the process of selecting objects, and this will be an emergency red list. So it will be similar enough to most red lists. The end product will be similar, but for an emergency red list, we have to move quickly and we have to take in a much wider variety of threats that are ongoing. But these are the two major red list activities that are ongoing for the moment. And if you have any questions about either of these or anything else for that matter, you can contact Sophie or myself here in the Heritage Protection Department. But I just want to thank you again so much for giving time, dear Alenka, for us to speak today. And I just really want to finish again and give credit to the experts. We in the Secretariat, we were just the operators, I suppose, but the real talent here, the real expertise, the real knowledge is the experts across all the 10 countries. And again, I'm so happy to see some of them here today, and I'm really looking forward to hearing their perspectives of our work together over the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. For this presentation. Members of Regional Alliance ICOM SEE are actually 11. We have 11 members. We just, well, Greece joined in 2019. So maybe if you have a question why we have 11 members and only 10 included in red list, I think that that's the reason that actually happened at the time when the process of shaping this red list was already quite far in one way. So there is actually nothing special regarding that. And I know that in all of our countries, there was many conversation about what actually can we include. As the director of one of the museums that it also included, I'm really happy and proud that we are included, our Posavje Regional Museum. There was really a big discussion what to include, what actually are the objects at risk with this framework that we had. So I know and I support your thanks to all the experts with this acknowledging their work. It was not easy even with the museums and experts in their own countries, as we all have different ideas of that, and we had to switch our understanding of what actually is the main aim of this red list. So I'm really happy that in Slovenia we had two experts, Maja Hacker-Saye and Darinka Kolar-Oswald, that should be with us today, but actually, unfortunately, she is ill, so she apologizes, but I know that Maja will introduce everything excellent. So please, Maja Hacker-Saye, on behalf of Slovenia, and thank you for this, that we can be the first. You know, we are from Slovenia, so that's okay. But we are also the first the first with the publication in our language. So you know, this is here already distributed all around. So thank you for this. Maja, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alenka. Just to share my screen. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, yes, it's okay.
Okay. Also on my behalf, once again, thank you to ICOM SEE and also to the Heritage Department for all the coordination during the whole process, and also for the thank you for the opportunity today to giving us the chance to share a little bit of our experience we got during the process. Like Alenka said, unfortunately, Darinka can't be with me today. She was looking very forward to this presentation also, but she will be with me in Prague, so then there we can present it together. To say just a few words about the Slovenian experience, the whole project or being part of this project was definitely a great experience for both of us, Darinka, and I think I can say also for Slovenian museums and galleries. As you can see here, the whole project was implemented in several phases. We had to define categories of cultural objects at risk, then select the objects and prepare texts, pictures, then legislation, and of course the most interesting and hardest part, the final selection of objects. I think all can agree with me that this was the hardest part at the end. Like I said, in the first part of the project, it was necessary to define categories and subcategories of cultural objects at risk that would be part of the list. And in this phase, I'm talking now from the Slovenian perspective, we were looking at different sources, such as the list of stolen artworks, even though this list doesn't represent stolen items, but just to see what was going on the illegal market. Then also we took a look at the crime and artwork leaflet, but also we were looking at the Slovenian legislation, namely the rules on the registry of types and of heritage and protection guidelines. So these sources helped us to define the categories which we then submitted to Paris. Then in the second phase, this was a little bit longer phase. We needed to prepare and submit a selection of objects to be included in the list. Now, each working group, of course, approached the work somewhat differently. We, in this phase, me and Darinka, we invited all Slovenian museums and galleries which are listed in the register of museums to participate in this phase. We contacted them, we talked with them, and of course, invited them to send us their proposals, their suggestions of objects. And also in this phase, during this phase, we received quite a lot of questions from our museums, because they feared that the objects, if the objects would be on the red list, that the objects would be even more exposed and endangered. So this was a very big issue for our museums. So me and Darinka, we had a few talks with them. We explained why the red list, why it's so important, and of course assured that the items aren't endangered more exposed, but better to say we have a better chance to, if I say it like this, save them. Here on this sheet, you can see just a few of the items that we collected at the end. In the end, museums, we gathered and submitted 68 objects from 13 Slovenian museums and galleries, which is a lot. And of course, we would be very happy if all the objects could be included in the list, but we knew that this wasn't possible. Then in the third phase, we had to gather texts on national and international legislation, also bilateral agreements on the protection of cultural heritage. And like I said, after these three phases were finished, the fun began. how to choose now the objects which would be included at the end. 10 countries, like we heard, as we heard today, 10 countries participated in the project, which means, and we also saw a large number of items was collected, more than 450. Only a few of them would be included in the list. The work was going via Zoom, like Ted said. It would be very, we were looking forward to meet in Paris, but also via Zoom. It was a very good and hard work. And from more than 400 items, we reduced the selection first to 168 items, which was then still a little bit too much, and then the final selection was 119 objects. I don't know, Ted said 44 museums. I have the number 45 museums, but nevertheless from 10 countries. Here you can see on this slide also some of the content of the red list. We have main regulations protecting cultural heritage from Southeast Europe. Also some of the categories, subcategories of cultural objects at risk that we submitted that were included, and the objects you can see here are some of the Slovenian objects that are presented in on the list. After the English version was finished and launched in October 2021, we of course started thinking and looking for options how we can translate the list into Slovenian. At the end of 2021, with the support of the Ministry of Culture of Republic Slovenia, we could start with the project, and we finished it quite quickly early this year. Here you can see the Slovenian version of the red list and a little bit longer name in Slovenian, which is Rdeče seznam ogroženih predmetov kulturne dediščine jugovzhodne Evrope. Sounds a little bit different than in English. Now, why a red list? Ted already said everything, but just to add a few more things from the Slovenian view. There was an interesting data in 2000. The Slovenian police began preparing statistics on criminal offenses. They were looking, they were preparing statistics, what kind of things were stolen and so on. And it was interesting that the results showed that no cultural heritage objects were stolen, falsified. Like, this doesn't happen in Slovenia. So of course this wasn't logical. We started, they started to looking what was going on, and they discovered that the police, of course, they didn't have enough information about cultural heritage protection, cultural heritage objects. And then as the police training began, also the number started to grow. So we discovered, of course, also from Slovenian territory, we have stolen items, which were then exported and so on. Here we have a few examples. In 1975, there was a theft from a gallery, Dolenska Galerija in Novo Mesto. Then a very big theft in 1985 from the National Museum of Slovenia. Quite a few objects were stolen here. Then in 2006, a happy ending when smuggled archaeological objects returned to Macedonia. And now the theft I mentioned from 1985 from the National Museum of Slovenia, it also got a happy ending, at least for one object, namely after 33 years, the bronze prehistoric dagger from Ig, which was stolen in 1985 during this theft. It was returned to Slovenia, to the National Museum of Slovenia. Now, this dagger was discovered at an auction by a private company called Art Loss Register. And then a long process, a long bureaucratic process started. It lasted almost 3 years, or yeah, 3 years, that the dagger could come home, and it came home through a diplomatic way. But now it's home. So this, once again, why this distribution of the red list is important. We have to also educate the customs officers, police, and also other individuals, so that they can discover and help us save cultural objects. And I can also say here that Darinka already shared the Slovenian red list with the Slovenian police. Well, she took a very big package of the red list, so it should be, or it will be in the next days with the police. And of course, already shortly after the English version of the red list was published, we started with the first presentation of the list here in Brežice in November. So one month later, Darinka presented it in Brežice at Alenka's museum. This is the beautiful Knight's Hall. You have to see it when you're in Slovenia. Then we wrote also something about the whole project for ICOM SEE newsletter. And of course, when the Slovenian version was published, we started promoting this one. Also, here's Alenka, she presented it in a few days ago in Sarajevo. And the last picture, there are me, Darinka, and Kaja Širok. She's the ICOM Slovenia chair. We presented it at International Museum Day here in Ljubljana. So all I can say, I think really we did a very good job. It was hard work. It was my privilege to be part of this working group and of this whole project. And I think this is it from the Slovenian view. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Maya. We hope that Darinka will be well very soon. Thank you for insight. I think that we can have some questions and conversation comments at the end. This is how we planned to do it. So I'm just welcoming now Matija Dronic from Croatia, representing Croatian team. Matija.
Oh, hello.
Hello, hello.
Greetings from sunny Zagreb, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't prepared the presentations, so I'll try to speak from the bottom of my heart and from the experience gathered in this project, so don't mind me. We still haven't had any sorts of promotions, so we don't have nice pictures like you guys from Slovenia, and hopefully we will send you some of those later this year, but let's get around this. So I don't think, just a second, Darko has joined us. We've spoken and he said he has some sort of prior arrangement, but he said if he would be in position, he will join us. I don't see him here, sorry. Well,
no, he's not. I don't see him yet.
Yeah, me neither. So it's okay. I'll take on this everything. Well, it was a joint project, of course, of a lot of people in ICOM Croatia, and Darko and I were kind of frontmen in this. So some initial talks with the Ministry of Culture in years prior to this project. He was in charge of those, and we were promised significant help from the ministry, which was they held the part of their bargain. They really helped us, and thank them for that, because none of this would be possible without their assistance, their financial support, and a lot of colleagues from ministry who were keen to help us in this venture. So basically I joined this project in its later phase some 2 years ago when the expert team was assembled. So thank you very much for referring to myself as an expert. It's kind of nice to hear because, you know, we're all museum guys. We all do these things for our job, and it's kind of funny because we don't see ourselves as an expert. Just in this kind of expert group, you shine like an expert. But anyway, for myself, it was really fun. It was a dynamic task, and I enjoyed it. Those meetings were really, really well organized. Thank you, Secretariat, for everything. And this was really a nice experience for myself. And I think we made a huge difference. It was challenging to work online, but this Corona / earthquake / all sorts of horrible things that happened to us took its toll. But I'm really happy to say this toll couldn't stop us from producing this list and this project as well. So in any case, I'd like to congratulate all of my co-experts, to everybody at the team, and I think we all did a great job in this nearly impossible conditions to work. Like colleague from Slovenia said, we also did this task in 3 phases. I'll just, you know, run through them. It's very similar. First, we selected some items, then we selected some laws, and everything afterwards was wrap up, which was coordinated mostly by Darko. My job was over in that area, in that part. So some things that I can note is that we had a lot of overlapping examples. My second major is in archaeology, and a lot of discussion was being around archaeology. And I think, you know, it's a huge trust. It's a huge area. It's 10, 11 countries, very similar archaeological material. I don't know, very similar cultural influences from Mediterranean, from Oriental parts, from Slavic sides. And we had a lot of, like I said, overlapping examples. And in the end, we chose, I would say, pretty much easily. It wasn't, there wasn't a single huge problem that we came across, you know, whether to choose this one, whether to choose that one. I think everybody was really on top of the assignment, and it was really, really nice project to be involved in. I think the biggest issue in Croatian context was which law to choose, because we had a lot of laws and a lot of ordinances that are coming from those laws, and it wasn't impossible to put them all inside. We really have this things quite fragmented, you know, like Cultural Heritage Protection Act, then Archaeological Land Sites Protection Act, archaeological data, archaeological objects, all sorts of different objects. So this was something that we seek some advice from colleagues from Ministry of Culture, from different museums. And in the end, I think we chose wisely, and this is something that is really referable to, so it can work. Actually, once again, I like to express my great thanks to Croatian Ministry of Culture and Media for backing up the project, and we have, because of that, also Croatian translation. So Alenka, you're not the only one who can brag with this. And it also has a ridiculously long title in comparison with the English one. But I think this is a really, really important toolkit. And well, since I'm saying thank you, I would like to thank colleagues from some Croatian museums that helped us and that provided materials in such a short notice, I'll be honest. And first thing first, the Archaeological Museum of Istria in Pula, then Archaeological Museum here in Zagreb, Natural History Museum in Rdečega, Museum of Arts and Crafts in Zagreb, and my humble institution, Ethnographic Museum, also in Zagreb. Thank you, everybody. You've been a great deal of help, and all those situations with photos, with licenses and everything was right on time. Everything was without a problem. And I must say, I'm very happy. I didn't think it would go in a different way, but this kind of professionalism when dealing in stuff like protection of heritage is something that we all should strive for. And I thank them all for for proactive ideas, for proactive for their proactivity on this project and to help us. Why is this red list so important to us? This is, I think, the question that we should answer from the specific perspectives. You know, Croatia is a trafficking route. It's a country regarding its geographical position, and that whole long Pannonian part of Croatia has a huge highway that basically connects Serbia with Slovenia, actually, and this is a well-known trafficking route for everything from people, drugs, arms, and of course cultural heritage. And if you read the Croatian media, this kind of some sort of arrests or some sort of police actions are quite common. And for instance, we had last year in December, we had a huge confiscation from a person who was driving from Turkey to Middle Europe, and they confiscated roughly around 1,000 archaeological objects. It was a huge hoard in his car, and the municipality museum in Vinkovci took care of everything. So this is a huge win for not just Croatian police, but for the whole Southeast Europe law enforcement. I think because of this trafficking route, we should help them, and I think this is the importance of the red list. We are trying to do so. I think one of the most important things is, and we're really proud and we're really happy to have it in Croatian language, because the idea was to reach the end user, the people in the field, the police officers, and this was a leitmotif of our expert meetings and everything. Let's dumb it down. Let's make it nice and simple and very informative, non-redundant, because we need the policeman, we need the customs officer, we need those guys to know what this is, to treat it as some sort of manual, some sort of cheat list to check it out. And I've discussed this issue with a couple of colleagues also from Museum of Police and from law enforcement in general, and they had a great idea, in my opinion. They said it's cool, but we could make a poster of it, so it can be placed in every, I don't know, airport, bus stop, every police headquarters, everywhere, because this is very informative, and basically it's very easy to transform it in some sort of poster, which can be, it's not a booklet you have to reach for it. Poster is there for you to walk besides it to see it. So I think this idea might be something for the future or for us to discuss about, but let's just put it on the table. I promise that I will share it with my colleagues in museum sector. So this is what I'm doing. And of course, this is just one of the small steps. I think everything goes to a higher cause, to let's say enlighten people about some things such as common mutual heritage. And I think we're one of the specific parts of the world where more or less all countries that are transitioning from, okay, we're not transitioning anymore, but we're like post-socialist countries, and in socialist countries, this kind of attitude toward public good, attitude toward public belongings isn't on such a high levels as in Western countries, if you don't mind me saying it like that. For instance, this is the example. I'm not sure whether I've spoken about this when we were creating, when we were negotiating about the objects, but it was something that happened 2 or 3 years ago. I was in early June on the seaside, and my girlfriend and I, we went for a walk, and it was still empty, no tourists, a bit chillier weather, and there's a long beach, and besides of the beach there are some Roman villa ruins, and we stumbled upon an elderly, let's say elderly, a couple in their late 60s, freshly retired. They were from Belgium, and they were going around this villa with the metal detectors. So it was a very unusual sight, because both me and my significant other, we are trained archaeologists, and we were astounded. What are you doing? And they said, but it's okay, you know, the guy who we rented apartment from, he said it's okay. He actually pointed us, you know, the beach is stupid, because I think they're checking the beaches in Belgium with metal detectors to find stuff. It's a hobby. And basically he pointed them towards the archaeological site, and they even said, and you know, it's really nice that you're preparing tourist season so great, everything, you know, the grass has been mowed. It's really nice. We can walk all around it and check what's here. So this is an attitude that I think we should strive to work on with not just police, with not just customs, but basically with everybody. And I think this red list is one step in that direction. And for the end, we are planning promotions. We have them planned for September or early, no, it's late September, and we will have two promotions. One will be held in Rdečega, which is still currently our ICOM Croatia headquarters, and then again in Zagreb, under the auspices of Museum of Police. Darko is still arranging this, but I think this will happen. And I think this is a good move, because we might get, I'm talking pragmatically right now, because I think we will get a huge publicity, a lot of more publicity with police than with, than using just some, you know, like museum circles. So maybe this is some sort of advice to everybody, check it out. And I think this will be a good upgrade to go to the people, to go to the public, and to have everything. Thank you very much. And thank you for letting me join this project, for cooperation, for everything. It was amazing.
Thank you, Matija. Before you notice that, but I think that inner side is quite a great poster. I wanted to comment this already, that we can have this list already as a poster on our walls, but everything, of course, can be improved. Okay, let's go now. Oh, I'm looking all the time to the red list. Let's go now to Serbia. Natalia Ćosić is here. I know that ICOM Serbia had quite a lot of promotions, presentations, and lectures about that. So thank you for this, your engagement. But of course, the most important is that you talk about it. So please.
Yeah, let me
Natalia,
check. Can you hear me? That's the first thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay.
We can see it, yeah.
Okay.
You just open the presentation, you just go.
Can you see the presentation? Because I did open it, I'm not sure.
You know, you just have to start the slides, because we see everything all around.
Okay.
You just go down there and start the...
Okay, I need to stop, because on my screen everything was correct. I need to redo it then again.
Okay.
Okay, let's see now. Let's see if it's working.
It's the same. We see on the left slides and the main one. Oh, it can be this way. Okay. Maybe you just go to the bottom and start the slideshow here.
Trying resume slideshow. Let's see. Okay, my computer is acting.
If I may, I had the same problems.
Okay.
Yesterday. I was working through them. You have to open the PowerPoint presentation as a slideshow, and then after this to share the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, can you please repeat? Okay, the steps. So I'm at the share screen. I apologize.
No, first you have to open your presentation.
And when you share your screen, and now you see no, sorry.
Start the
go on your PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, presentation is open on my computer. So, okay.
Yes, what is open, the PowerPoint presentation or
Start the presentation.
did you start the slideshow?
It is just the presentation. Slideshow is not opened.
Okay, start the slideshow.
Oh, okay, then just a sec. So that's the situation.
Okay, and now the question is, do you have a Mac or do you have
No,
which?
I have the PC. Not
Okay, now press the button with the Windows, Microsoft window, and you will see down, you will have to the Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, click the Zoom. And now share screen, and you will have two PowerPoint options.
Unfortunately, when I do that in that way, I'm not able. Do you see my screen currently like this or not? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Alenka, I cannot hear
see everything.
Good. Now we see only two. It's okay. Just leave this way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, let's not, I don't want to take your time.
No. It's not a problem, but we can see.
With the update with Zoom, there were some changes, so I also
it might be that the possibility. I did try it previously on my computer. Apparently, looks everything perfectly, but it doesn't deliver to your site, which is. But do you see the slides changing? At least that's the important thing.
It's okay. Everything is okay.
So good day, everyone. I would like, as everyone else, to express my gratitude to organizers for making this possible, and it's really nice to see some familiar faces again. As it is well known, my intention here today is to present a little bit about the experience of national committees, ICOM's working on ICOM's Red List, specifically from ICOM Serbia National Committee Working Group. And I just wanted to kind of bring us back to the main framework of our work. That was the two major steps. First one was devising categories and subcategories. And that was followed by providing a selection of objects and high definition images, etc. And why this important, at least from my perspective, we will you hear in the end of the presentation. But before I go any further, I wanted to present the team behind the work done in the National Committee of Serbia. So the team consisted of two archaeologists, one curator and preventive conservator, and two art historians and conservator and documentary. So Adam Crnovrnja, who was archaeologist and senior curator, and president of Serbian Archaeological Society, working in National Museum of Serbia, then senior documentarist and conservator Marija Radin from the same institution, who is here with us today, I think. Yeah, I think I see her. And Renata Samadžić, who is an art historian working at the Police Academy, and researcher who is actually one of us who seriously did a comprehensive research on the topic of art crime in Serbia, and myself, I'm senior preventive conservator and archaeologist, at the time working at Central Institute of Conservation. So we did all work under the supervision of President of National Committee ICOM Serbia, Nikola Krstić. And so you can see that it was a truly interdisciplinary team with diverse backgrounds and perspectives on the fight against illicit trafficking of cultural heritage. And in the end, I think that diversity did help us in comprising, let's say, a really comprehensive list, but also in our joint work with other colleagues from other participating countries. And for us, this was a very complex task, considering that there is no single database of stolen works of art or antiquities in Serbia, or any kind of incidents when it comes to looting or theft in the museum context. So with this in mind, we started the process with a preliminary survey of museums in Serbia of their experience of cultural property protection with crime-related cultural heritage incidents. And on the slide, you can just see a screenshot from one of the charts. And since the results of the survey are not the subject of this presentation, I will not go into much details about it, but basically we got response from around 50 museums from out of 120. And the set of questionnaire was quite wider than the, let's say, the task and the focus of Red List of Southeast Europe. But what was helpful for us in this process is that besides some responses about, let's say, the history of theft, the incidents, we also got suggestions and identification of possible categories of types of objects that specialists or experts from those museums thought that might be susceptible to risk or in danger of being looted. So that, as a kind of preliminary step for us, was a really great insight of where to start and how to proceed from there. This phase was followed by the research of existing publication of documented thefts in the form of publication, but also referring to empirical analysis of our crime in Serbia. That is statistical analysis of the structure and trends of crime related to cultural heritage in our country, using, and as a source, we use the statistical records of the Analytical Directorate of the Ministry of Interior, the Republic of Serbia, for the time being from 2000 until 2014. And data was provided as part of research done by Renata Samadžić, one of the members of our working group, because she done a PhD on this topic. And furthermore, we cross-analyze these data with current online market websites, but also with museum catalogs in order to identify and best representatives of some categories. And here on the slide, you can see the total numbers of criminal offenses related to cultural heritage in the period of 8 years in Serbia. And for example, according to the place where the crimes were committed in the most active years, that is 2013, the most frequent places were either private apartments or churches or museums and galleries, and of course, archaeological sites. But unfortunately, this suggests that available statistics only show us reported crimes. So we are also dealing with so-called gray areas or dark number of crime. But however, compared with previously mentioned preliminary research, that was proved to be extremely valuable in this situation, because it revealed for us the history of thefts in some museums that wasn't official, at least not to our knowledge, included in this kind of statistics. So additionally, this was important because it shed light on the diversity of the objects that were under the risks, and we were able to include them in our suggestions and to be partner just above when it comes to categories, but the objects themselves. After conducted research, we proposed 7 categories, and after combination with the ones from other countries, ICOM proposed these 7 final categories, as it is all known for us. And after this initial step, the second phase was dedicated to hard work, online work from all the representatives from all countries, to try to create a common and joint list of objects that will represent all the objects in risks. When it comes to Serbia, in this phase, we closely collaborated with different museums, archives, libraries, and in total it was successful cooperation, I think I might say, with 18 collection-based institutions, but mostly museums, and 66 proposed objects, but I think in the end, the final number was rather smaller. And the final phase, of course, as in other cases, was submission of relevant laws and conventions for fight against illegal trade of cultural heritage objects in protection of cultural heritage in Serbia. For the end, I wanted to highlight some dilemmas or valuable discussions, at least from my perspective, that occurred during our joint work in the process of devising of the Red List for Southeast Europe. The list of those you can see is presented on the slide. So the first one was object material. For example, if you use, I don't know, golden coin or bracelet, image of golden coin or bracelet, we can suppose that this, with the great certainty that someone working on border or police can assume that this type of object is valuable and it should be, let's say, it should raise a red flag. But also we were discussing that a red list should contain also of objects of different materials, so we can kind of present diversity of materials that are also valuable, not just for monetary or economical value, but some other, like historian, aesthetical, or technical, or historic value, whatever we chose from the pool of significance and value it might be. The second thing was also matter of description, as Mattia already mentioned. The main challenge was not to exaggerate and to keep in mind that the goal is not to create a catalog or a detailed descriptions of the objects, but the goal was rather to create a reasonable length descriptions which can be usable and useful to security services. I think also a great kind of discussion was around whether to use group or individual images of objects, because when we use photography of individual object, then the characteristics can be seen in greater detail, but only for one object, as opposed to when you use a group picture, you can see, of course, the diversity of shapes, forms, materials present to, and that can be related to certain kinds of objects. But then again, having in mind dimensions of the booklet, it can be also deceiving because you cannot see the objects in greater detail. So all in all, I do think that we kind of found a good solution in the design process. So both type of images were used, individual and group photos, like for example, in the case of Roman lamps. And I think a similar dilemma was also connected to the, I think, this process also showed us how important museum documentation and digitization is. So because I think at the time, not strongly, but there was of course issue trying to find the best image of an object. And of course, the last thing is translation. I think first that came to our mind was a very logical thing to try to translate it in Serbian language, and I think that is in the process of planning and negotiation. But as our Roman colleagues from Romania realized, it is also valuable maybe to translate brochure in the language of destination countries, so it can be useful for border police elsewhere as well. So I think, at least for me, that was a valuable insight, trying to think out of the box and our own context, but to try to figure out what is the path of the objects there, where they might end up actually. So that is an additional kind of criteria to have in mind when thinking about translating the red list. And all in all, I'm sure, let's say that I am definitely very proud that we had the opportunity to work together and to participate in this process of creating such an important tool for the fight against cultural heritage, theft and looting. And above all, I'm glad that I had the opportunity to work with the colleagues of participating countries, but also to learn from them throughout this process. And when it comes to, as Alenka said at the beginning, National Committee of Serbia has done several activities since the ICOM Red List Southeast Europe is published, and the recent one was the exhibition named by the Red List itself, and it lasted for a month. It was organized by the Criminal Police University, that is Renata Samardžić as a main organizer, and also accompanying the exhibition itself was the lectures that were organized for the students of the university and academia. So I think Maria Radin can maybe fulfill more about this event, because I wasn't participating at the time at at this. I hope that you were able, this is it, you were able to see all the slides, maybe not in an ordinary manner.
It was okay, everything was okay. Don't worry. Thank you very much. Does your colleague want to say something shortly? To add something, Maria?
Not definitely, we can talk in the discussion part.
Maybe, but I think, you have to unmute if you want to say something. We don't hear you, sorry. Okay, she will check what is going on. And now we will drive with Michaela, Simeon. I hope that everything is okay as you are driving to the site. Where are you? Is she here?
Michaela just disappeared.
Just disappeared, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. We will try to get her back, hopefully. But in the meantime, we have one. Maria just wrote to us that her computer is not working well. So she will try to join again. Okay, thank you very much. So we will also wait. Okay, Michaela Simeon is now trying to re-enter. So we'll just give her, hello. Hello. Hello, sorry.
Hello, sorry.
You stopped, okay.
It is not a good day now for me. I just have a little car accident, so my car is broken. 10 minutes ago.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm not very focused now because I wait the service to, but I want to tell some words now because it's better like this. Our experience for the red list, it was, if you want, in the same manner like our colleague from Slovenia and our colleague from Serbia. We have the main process, we have the main understanding from a part of the museums because they don't understand why an object which is protected in a museum must be in a red list like this. So we have the same constraints if you want with the red list. But in Romania, we make the red list in collaboration with the Romanian police. And we work there with an entire department, and our purpose and our methodology was linked by the indicated trafficked objects from Romania. Also, we have a lot of help from the National History Museum of Romania because has the most representative artifacts, and it was very easy to deal with them. Also, from the initially, I want to make it like volunteer, but the National History Museum of Romania promised to support me to make the translation, which is a good news. Other good news, it is after red list, the Romanian custom service became more attentive and discharged and other red list. And now we have the first results because at the airport, at the border point, they call us and they say, we see that at the Syria red list, we see that at the Northeast European red list. It's okay what we deal with them, and it is, I think, the most important result. And at the final, because come the service guy, and my car, it's dead now. And in the end, for me, it was a pleasure, an honor, and a privilege to be part in this team. I want to thank to all my colleagues involved, absolutely, because culture and heritage, and this action to protect heritage, build really bridges between countries, because we have the same history and we have the same opportunity to protect. And for my point of view, I feel myself responsible in equal measure for the heritage of all the country which we work together to make this ready. And I want to thank you also for the patience and for the hard work to Ted and Sophie. And I hope to see you very soon. Thank you very much. And excuse me for my emotion, because it's not a good day for me. Where is my car? Thank you very much.
Are you okay? Are you okay? You are okay?
We are okay. We have a problem, a mechanical problem.
Hi.
And we stopped. Only we stopped without big incident, a little boom.
Okay.
But
That's okay.
the engine, it's ready.
But you are not driving. Are you driving? No, you're not driving.
No.
Okay.
No. My husband was at, and now
Driving
it is with agitation. And I wait a colleague to pick me to go in my mission, because nobody understands it. So in the night, I must be at 500 kilometers from here.
Oh, we are all sorry that you had this bad experience. I hope that everything will be okay. But you know, with this car engines and accident, the most important is that you are okay and your husband is okay. But I know that this is not a good
we are okay.
time. Sorry. And thank you for staying with us and sharing this. And now you take care of your things. I hope that everything will be okay, not too much damage, because we know that we all need cars all the time.
Yes. And I will send you the presentation, because also I prepare a presentation, but it was absolutely impossible to put my laptop. And thank you very much. And I'm so glad to hear you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care of yourself. Everybody is now giving you good wishes for today and for solving all the things that happened to you today. Stay well, and thank you very much. We all hope to see you in Prague. Are you coming? Hopefully. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe also online, because Prague it is on the period when I am at the excavation. And I lead a very large archaeological site. So I don't know.
Okay. Hopefully.
I want, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for this presentation, and we are sorry that you had such a terrible time. Hopefully everything will solve well for you, and we are glad that you are okay. That's the most important. Okay. Others shared in the chat, so I hope that you saw that. So this is our wishes for you and for your husband to have from now on better day, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, so we all hope that they will be okay, but you never know what is going on. So this presentation, this meeting has a quite exciting program in one way, but okay, hopefully everything will be okay. So now thank you all for your presentations, for your insights. So now I give you this digital floor, virtual floor, Zoom floor for your comments, questions. If you want to say something, maybe we have now Maria here that she wants to add, but no, is it something better? Okay, now.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, this is the third computer
Okay.
that I'm using for this one and a half hour program. Yes, I would like to join just to actually confirm the idea that the colleague from Croatia had, that we need to communicate with police directly. We had a great fortune that one of our members, Renata, is working on a university, police university. So she organized an exhibition about the Red List brochure, and also 4 lectures for students of the university, talking about not just the Red List, but the other topics. And it was very much, the student had to come because they are students of the police university. So this was their obligation, but they participated very well. First, lecture was done by a president of ICOM Serbia, and it was about the value of the cultural heritage and the giving the monetary value to the heritage pieces and art works. Then I gave a lecture about the ICOM Red List. What is it, and what is the ICOM Red List for Southeast Europe? Then there was a lecture from Adam Crnobrnja. He is president of Serbian Archaeological Society, and they are actually having I think they are ending in this year a 3-year project, their own project that is actually based on raising awareness of local municipalities, schools, and other societies about the archaeological heritage, and what actually is a crime concerning archaeological heritage, and how everyone in the society are involved in protection of archaeological heritage. And it was a project that they would travel around Serbia and had workshops for local authorities, schools, private investors, etc. And we also did one lecture about the international frame of the protection of cultural heritage, where I pinpoint just the most important institutions and organizations like Interpol, UNESCO, ICOM, of course, and the way they are dealing their strategies in dealing with the protection of cultural heritage from illegal trafficking. And the good outcomes, beside the students who are actually getting the new perspective of their actually working assignments, future working assignments, the good outcomes were also that this university was very much engaged in this exhibition and the lectures, and there was the agreement of cooperation between university and national committee of ICOM were signed, and also people from customs attended Adam's lectures about heritage, archaeological heritage, and there is an idea that we continue to publish some type of brochures or posters, some kind of informational materials just for customs services about this same topic of endangered cultural heritage items. And I hope that we are going to do it, at least start doing it during this year. So it is a very important thing to create, to continue to create materials for the institutions outside museum and cultural heritage institution in general. What we learn is that they don't need many information, they don't need many big texts, and they need really just basic information to get along. So I hope that maybe in Prague and later that this year we'll have moved forward. And we are also, as I was told, we are in the process of translating it on Serbian language as well, the ICOM red list.
Thank you very much. At the beginning, Sophie said that maybe we can talk about Prague a little bit, but we have one raised hand. Mariana Vazilace, yes, from Moldova. I see also Valeria, the chair of ICOM. But please, the floor is yours, Mariana.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. And as mentioned, here are my colleagues also, Valeria Sorocano and Mariana Miskevka from the Heritage Department from our Ministry of Culture. But from the part of the National Museum, as we worked together with all the experts and ICOM secretary, it was challenging, but it was the very nice opportunity to put all these items together, because even if before we had meetings with actors from the Republic, I mean from the prosecutor's offices, custom officers and police, of course, now it's better, it's clear, because they received this list and we have now the answers and we have now the results of this work. Even just last week, I had the lawyers who called, because we've been involved in this process and we've been already discussing the main topic about the heritage traffic, who came into Moldova, who had to leave the Moldovan territory. So this is absolutely fantastic instrument to protect our heritage, and not only the national one, but the European and the global, from the World War. So it's good work made together with all of you. So I would like only to thank Sophie and of course Ted for being there, for asking, for insisting, for organizing this work, because in the end we have a nice tool, and it's a working one, because of course everybody of us present here, we know that we have activities that doesn't end with something utilitarian like a tool, but this one is working, and even if I would be involved in this one, I will hear the results. So now my colleagues from the other museums and libraries, and also the actors involved in the protection of the cultural heritage, they know that they had a support in the museum experts from the National Museum of History, from the Arts Museum, of course, and they know that they can consult us for any problem, any issue that will arise for this problem. So I would like to thank you everybody for involving us in this, and to validate the Southeastern Europe heritage as a recognized part of the human heritage. Thank you all.
Thank you for sharing this with us. I hope to see you in Prague, yes or no? You don't know.
I'm not really sure. I'm just continuing now some also excavating project as I'm archaeologist as well. I would like certain to be. It only depends on how the excavation will work. And if I'll be free at that time, it will be a real nice pleasure to come to Prague. Thank you.
Thank you, and all warm wishes to you in Moldova, as we know that you are one of now very, how do you say, country that has a lot to do also with the situation in Europe, and you have a lot of refugees and everything, so it's not easy for you, and we are with you also in our thoughts. Okay.
We have refugees that are already involved in the museum work. I have colleagues from Odessa Museum. They come to Chisinau. They're working together with my team here, with my colleagues. So they are not okay. You cannot say that it's a very bad situation. But at least they are continuing their work. They're continuing their research. We're doing this rescue plans, excavations plans, and it's the work is continuing. So this is the positive part of all this situation.
But it's not easy, not for them, not for you. So thank you for all that you are doing. Okay, some other thoughts, or maybe we give this floor back to ICOM Secretariat, to Sophie, maybe as she announced this at the beginning, or it's not a problem. We have 15 to 20 minutes. The Zoom will not close. It's just if you have time, as we announced the hour and a half. But okay, we can be a few minutes more. Sophie Delapierre's raised hand. I don't see all. Please, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Well, I'm absolutely happy. I don't see Ted on my screen here, but I'm sure he is quite happy too. It's really, for us, I have several things to say, but the one who come to my mind first is that for us, it's fantastic that we see a tool that, as Ted underlined several times, and I completely agree with him, you were the one who doing it, and we are only, driving the project. It's important to see that what you are doing with it. Now, us, it's not just say that the job is done, but generally when we do a red list, publishing the English version is like 50% of the job. Now, the other 50 is disseminating, making it known, translating, doing events with it. So what you are doing is, in fact, how to implement the tool. And also it's important for us because, in fact, we all know that doing a red list will absolutely not stop the traffic. It's just one tool among many tools, but it can accompany, it can reinforce, it can put visibility, it can attract the attention of your authorities too. Sometimes in some country, I know that in some country, national authorities are more interested by the topic, but it's not the same in every country. Unfortunately, that's why also ICOM with the national committee try to push this topic, to have proper legislation, to have, if possible, a national service dedicated to the fight. So that's really one of part of the puzzle, the red list, and knowing that you are doing promotion, you have good relation with ministry, that you made study, you try to overpass some constraints, that you are creating a network. For us, that's all of that are really wonderful result of the red list, because the red list are not only the seizure of objects, is what said Mariana a few minutes ago too, creating a réseau, a network of persons you worked with before, and now, it was maybe there before, but it just maybe reinforced a little bit. So now you can really, we are in, as you said, pick the phone, ask a question to somebody. That's also what red list is doing. And also between all of you, maybe during the work, you had some specific discussion with one specific colleague from another national committee. So it's continue to reinforce what you have at your regional level. So that was my first feeling about the meeting today. And I can tell you that we are doing many meetings in ICOM, and I would like that all of them would bring me so much information that I have today. So it was really efficient. Thank you very much for that. So just for that, we didn't lose time. On the contrary, it's really good to have this meeting. Just Chair, if I can go back on some of your opening words, and also to complete what said very perfectly Ted. As you know, it was not the way to work generally on normal red list setup, because emergency is something else. Red list for SEE was a normal one. And as you know, it should have been working here from Paris, meeting each other maybe once or twice, 2 days together. But the pandemic was not possible for that. So the difficulties was to do everything virtual. And we know that you have a job to do, and doing ICOM is your volunteer time. And the fact that we were able to have you in front of your computer, I know that remember this famous week when we had all the meeting in a row. I know it took your time, and really, if we said thank you so much to you, it's not because we are polite or I don't know which reason, diplomatic reason. It's really, we know that we took your time, and you gladly and nicely said yes to us. And I know that Matja maybe don't like to be called expert or is surprised, but for us, it's because you give us your knowledge. So that's why we call you expert. And as alone here in Secretariat, believe me, the red list would never happen. So that's why we are so eager, and we continue to say thank you even in Prague. So be ready for that. So another point is, generally too, if you see the history of the red list, we are always launching. And in fact, it was not possible for a big launching, I mean, something official with press, etc. But because of the pandemic, and also because I have to be clear, so we had 10 countries. So who would we choose? Or maybe another country, or doing in Paris, but you know, it's less impact. So that's why when last October, and we presented the red list to the president, Alberto Garlandini, saying that underlining your job, 10 countries working super well, really beautiful red list, a lot of objects, a lot of museums. He spoke to me and said, Sophie, and what about the launching? And I explained, listen, the pandemic and 10 countries, who would deal with it? And he said, but Sophie, why don't you use Prague next year? But for me, it was so long time. And he said, no, because if there are translation and the country will implement the red list, use Prague. Oh, I said, okay. So we presented to the Prague colleagues, and they say, yeah, of course, do a session on the red list. That's why we have a 1 hour session. And now I arrive on the session on Prague. And for now, Hélène, the third one that you still didn't saw yet, but you will see her too, because we are 3, Ted, Hélène, and I. We are preparing this session in Prague. And for now, we received 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 names, but some names are the same from the same country. And we have 1 hour. So we will need to really come back to something more possible, because the idea, maybe we will go to the kind of pecha kucha thing. It's mean, you know, 2 or 3 minutes, really, tac, question, answer, what did you made in Moldova? What did you made in Romania? In 1 or 2 questions like that. So we might go there just to give the space to everybody want to have the space. If some country said, no, thank you, I will be in the room, or I will be online and I don't need, then it's good for us. But if some people want to speak, then I consider necessary that we make some space for this person to speak. For now, I have 2 chairs of 2 national committees, which Albania and Bosnia. And then 2 from Croatia, Darko and Matja, you are here. 1 from Montenegro, 2 from Romania, Mihaela and Margareta, but let's see how we can deal with it. For Serbia, unfortunately, I heard Natalia will not be there, but we will be happy to have Maria, that we heard a few minutes ago. And for Slovenia, we have 2 names, Darinka and Jumaya. So that's how the session is for now. So you will be all contacted now and tomorrow, because in fact, the Czech Republic is finishing the paper program this week. So we need to have photo, short bio, short abstracts, etc. So we will continue to run after you because we need to do this program and all the speaker and panelists in the program. Then how we will deal with the presentation, we have 2 months to do it. But first it will be the program. So don't be surprised if we will be contacted several times, because in fact we need this administrative step. Just coming back to the things I heard, especially for Slovenia, you will underline promotion and translation. Croatia, a little bit from the same, but promotion will arrive more in September, but still. But maybe Croatia, you know, the collaboration with the ministry is really interesting. For Serbia, we be really interested by the study and also the work on the translation, plus the exhibition and the lecture. Romania, it was really interesting for me to hear in your, not only the constraints you have at the beginning, like museum were quite of afraid, but it needed to be a little bit of pedagogical approach. That would be also interesting. And for Moldova, I have been really interested by the fact that you underline the facilitation of the network now and better relation with the little world at national level of the fight against illicit traffic. So those are some highlights that would be extremely interesting in the Red List session, because of course the idea is not to do a large presentation of the Red List SEE. People will have it in the hands because we will bring them. But the fact that you can say, each of you, okay, we had these difficulties, or no, or, you know, you can take the angle and perspective you want. But if the Red List session look like the meeting today, I'm happy because it was really, you know, we made this and it happened that, and it also gives more roots to what we say. If we have somebody saying, okay, it was great at the secretary level, but us here, it's what happened now. And that is really interesting, I think, for the public. So maybe, Cher, we can work also with you. It could be also in an advantage to have you. Maybe if you agree, let's see how we can do that. And just to finish on one remark you made in the beginning, in fact, and it is the history of this Red List, it took a long time. It was really a few years. And of course, we had to work also with people having new position. And in fact, we worked with your predecessor. And maybe I was not too informative to you, because I apologize, maybe I forgot a little bit. But really the first step when I arrived to this position and I have to take back this file, it was to contact the chair of ICOM SEE. For me, it was the normal way to do. And we discuss who involved, and she was helping me with all the name of the chair of the national committees. And you are right, you are 11 and the Red List is 10. And it was a question that have been raised also by the expert, but believe me, it was in total agreement with Greece. So there is nothing problematic. I had the chair of ICOM Greece on the phone and I explained the situation. I asked her advice and she took the decision also after many discussions about what to do. Do we put an 11-1? Do we wait for a future? So you can be sure that I know that ICOM is 11 and not 10, and even we call this Red List SEE, but it's in total transparency and agreement with ICOM Greece. No problem with that. So in fact, I approached the chair of ICOM SEE, then I approached the chair of the national committees, and the national committees gave the name of the expert. But that was 3 or 4 years ago. And it takes time, but believe me, it has been done, I think, in total transparency with the national committees. But the pandemic, in a way, hurt this project because we were not able to do the usual methodology. But at the same time, I think it also brings us advantages. It also, we had to learn to work in another way. So that I will stop here. My main point is that, as I said, we will approach some of you because of the previous registration for Prague. Also, what will be important to know, and I know it's complicated, Mariana, you told us, and also Mihaela on the phone, is that I was not expecting archaeological work at the same times. And let's see what we can do. If, as it is a breed, we can have it online, but it's true that when it's also a presential, it's also important to give the floor to the person there. So, but still, I would like to have you. So let's see how we can do it together. Be clear to me. We can put, for now, you in the program, and later on, well, it will be online, but it's important to know it's who can be there to say what about something new about the Red List, because people know it now. So, but I need you to say, we made this exhibition, we spoke with the police academy, we made a specific presentation. You, Maya, you have nice picture too. So it's nice to have this kind of, you know, we have 1 hour, we need to have 1 hour extremely efficient, not a basic presentation, but why it is working. Well, we should answer this question, why we made it and why it is working. So this time I swear I stop here. Chair, thank you for the time. Thank you for the possibility to speak. And if some experts have some question regarding Prague, maybe it would be, we can win time now, because after email, it's always longer. So what do you think?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I just have to comment, it was not a problem with Greece, I know that. And we got all the information from the previous chair, and actually our board of ICOM SEE was actually always in connection with our national committees for this project. So this is nothing, I just emphasize this because we know and we promote that we have our member is also Greece. But you know, I know that it's not a problem. I know that it's not a problem. I didn't want to say that there is a problem. I just wanted to acknowledge that this process was done before the beginning, and we tried to also, how do you say, to encourage national committees to appoint great experts, and I think that was done. In each country, that is shown now, and it will be shown even furthermore. So actually most of members of ICOM SEE were not experts involved in this project, but we monitorized it in one way. And also reported, even not just in ICOM SEE News 2021, 2022, but even the year before. So, you know, everything was monitoring, but not in this governance way, just being happy that is moving further and with the result that was done. Okay, so can you just tell me in Prague, when is this session? Also on Monday?
No, the session is on Sunday, 21.
Ah, of course, yeah.
Afternoon,
yeah, 21st, yeah, okay.
And in fact, yeah, we have 1 hour, and in fact, we learn really soon that in fact, at the Heritage Protection Department, we will have 2 sessions, one on the red list, and our focus is SEE because it's the last one and it's really particular. But just after, we will have a special session on the emergency response to Ukraine. And when I hear Mariana, for example, speaking about the colleague from Odessa that are now working in Moldova Museum, for example, I believe that it's why we put here the one after the other. We didn't put Ukraine, you know, in another way. So we just put there close, because it's exactly what I expect to do, is to do some bridges between the presentation from the red list SEE and saying, okay, heritage protection is much more than red list. So that's why also I put a big Ukraine name near Mariana's presentation today. So the both will be close. It will be 1 hour, 5-minute break, 1 hour. And also what I wanted to say, because I just don't want to be, to explain not good. If the presentation by itself in the room will be with a person mostly in presence, let's see if we have to do also online, but we invite all the SEE member present in Prague. You know, the room is, I don't know how we will do it, but the room is 400 seats. So please, everybody go in the room, because it will be more like a discussion time. I expect also with, you know, micro, we can do in the public, and, you know, people do interaction, that rather than the seat normal presentation, really formal and official. So yes, please, all of you, if you are in Prague, please go to this session where you will have the possibility to exchange. As I said, we will try to do it as a launching. So the most we have person from SEE region, expert, member of national committees, chair. I hope that we will everybody will be there. And I saw Natalia's your question. Yes, it will be able, you will be able to register to listen online. That's how Prague is constructed, because when 2 years ago we were not know what to do. So in fact, they construct like hybrid with people in the room and people online. And normally every session would be open, you know, the most of the session will be open, and the told me that the red list session and the Ukrainian session will be available online. So yes, you will be able to be there without to be there.
Thank you.
Now, even if you don't plan to be in Prague after Sophie presented the meeting, so interesting, we are obliged to go to Prague at least to be for this session.
Yes, please.
Yes,
and of course, we will be encouraged to promote it through our channels, not just ICOM SEE, but national committees, and also to the colleagues all around, because as you said, it would be great to have as many people as it's possible in the room.
That's why we are working for.
Yeah, thank you very much. Do we have any other comment, or maybe it's quite enough? Oh, Maya, do you want to say? Did you raise the hand? Yes.
Just to add something, it was really interesting to see and to hear all of the views and all the experiences. And I just wanted to add that it was interesting to hear about the exhibition, because we were also with Darinka, we were talking about this possibility to make an exhibition about the red list. She also works in the Museum of Slovenian Police, so that it would go through this museums. Now, this is an idea for next year, and we are also talking about the possibilities how to educate police and other and other legal stuff. So it was really great to hear that some of you already did this. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. Maybe just one final comment, if somebody has it. Maybe Ted, this is maybe the floor for you. Okay. Not announced, but encouraged.
Can you hear me all?
Yes.
Everybody, this is our new assistant, Elen. Elen's camera is not working, so she's we're in a small office, so we're sharing here. I think just to wrap up, I reiterate what Sophie said and what Maya said. Thank you, everybody, for the excellent presentations today. It was really wonderful, not only just to see you all, but also to hear about the work that's going on. I'm just thinking about your presentation, Maya, and you mentioned how hard it was to get information on the illicit trafficking, and it's something that we experience as experts trying to understand illicit trade. So again, congratulations to the team in Slovenia for being able to succeed and to get such valuable information. Also, Matthew, I recall you mentioned as well there is a lot of crossover too in terms of trying to understand what objects should be put in, and I suppose that brings together the importance of this red list, that there are differences within the region, but the heritage is shared. And I remember that's something that we did try and work on, trying to decide which objects should come from which region, and there was a lot of overlap there. Natalia as well, when you were discussing the descriptions, that brings me back as well to when we were trying to work out the captions in the objects, and also I think your comment from Mihaela as well, discussing the translations. It demonstrated, I suppose, the cooperation between the countries, when Mihaela suggested that maybe we should consider looking at translations of countries that are destinations, outside SEE, and indeed we've started with that already with the translation into Swedish. So not only if we can translate this into all the languages, but if we could translate it into languages outside the SEE region, that would be incredible. And Marianne as well, I think you demonstrated very clearly the network that this red list is not only standing upon, but also building upon too, not just in terms of museums and professionals in the ministries, in the culture ministries, but also police, customs, and I hope that this red list can be a tool that we can continue to build on, and not just until Prague, but on into the future. So thank you so much, Chair Alenka, for organizing this excellent session. I look forward to continuing the discussion as well in Prague and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Maya, Maria, also for adding. Thank you, Matija. Thank you, Natalia and Michaela. We are still with her, with good wishes for the day to end in better way that it started with her trip. So thank you for being with us, for sharing your experience, sharing your knowledge, sharing your time. This is very important. I think that we showed the true power of the museums, not just for the museums, but for whole society and for our heritage. That's what is the most important. So thank you for celebrating National Museum Day with ICOM SEE, and I hope all to see you soon, especially in Prague. I know that I will be there, hopefully. You never know in this time, but I hope that you all can be there and we will meet in person and talk and be happy that we are together as a huge museum community that we are. And I think that this is very important to be this strong network, as I think we are. So a bit of nostalgic end in one way, but hopefully, thank you all for your time. See you soon. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.